take that to Emma. I think it's her phone ringing. Hello, we're back live. Just coming up to 7 o'clock on Thursday, the 3rd of December. It is actually now the UN International Day of Persons with Disabilities, which is what this whole LCIL 24-hour newsroom's been about. So we've been here since 6 o'clock last night. We've gone right through the night. We launched a new website, lcilvoice.com, which you can watch the live stream on YouTube. And we've been putting stories on Facebook and Twitter. We've had a very interesting long conversation with Mel in Wisconsin about her experiences of disabilities for her children. And we've made contact with various other people, like in Australia, put quite a good film up by the Deaf Society called Definitely Me, definitely worth a look. And also a company that got in touch with us called Hotel Accessibility, and I'll be talking to the boss of that, Marlies, at 9 o'clock our time. It'll be 10 a.m. in Amsterdam when we speak to her. So it's been a busy night. Emma Friedman's been here throughout the night since about midnight, talking to various of her contacts as well. So we've been talking sort of quite a lot about the use of language when it comes to disability. Les Roy's been doing all the tech, been fantastic. Black Hand Media, and Laura Horton and Stephen Cooper from LCIL have also been here as well. So it's been a busy night. John Hargreaves has just arrived, so the reception's open here at the West End Centre. It normally comes to life about 8 o'clock, the centre, and we're expecting our first sort of Skype calls and stuff just before 9 o'clock, when a few of the stall holders are coming to get ready for today's main event, which will be 10 till 6 p.m. here at the West End Centre with the main hall. We've got a large marketplace. We've got Leicestershire Police coming. Darren Goddard's here from Stamp It Out, talking about sort of disability, hate and mate crime, and also hopefully representative of Plod, talking about BSL usage amongst police officers. We've also got LAMP and also Rethink. We've got quite a few sort of researchers and students dropping down, talking about sort of photography questionnaires and things like that. We've got some interesting images here from 11 Million Reasons. You can guess what the films are that various dancers with a whole range of disabilities are reenacting. We've got Damn the Nailers images around voices of disability from Northern Cyprus. And then we've got at 9:30 a Q&A with Barclays about accessible banking. So you can ask us any questions. You can drop us an email, or you can get in touch with us through Facebook or Twitter about that, and that'd be quite interesting. And then from the local Barclays branch, we actually have quite a few, I think it's 2 or 3 people coming down that are digital eagles themselves, giving some advice around getting online and maybe being safe, doing your shopping, that kind of stuff, using Skype, as we will be throughout the day. So it's going to be quite busy. If you're anywhere near the West End Centre, just off Narborough Road, we're on Andrew Street, and you're very welcome. Tea and coffee. And this evening, the Real Junk Food Project, who run the West End Cafe here, normally start at 7:30, but they're actually starting at 6:30 tonight. And from 5 o'clock onwards, we've got some musicians, 3 musicians, all of whom have a whole range of disabilities. One of whom has got through to the second round of Britain's Got Talent, will be here entertaining us in full costume, I've been told. And also we've got Bobby playing as well from the Real Junk Food Project, who's apparently quite an accomplished musician as well, so I'm really looking forward to that. And also, fingers crossed, at 5 o'clock we've got between 8 and 10 young pupils coming from Ellesmere College's Sidekick Dance Company with a bit of a performance, so I'm looking forward to that. Everyone's waking up.
I've got a few more people on.
Everyone's becoming awake. Everybody's waking up.
Thing is just tweeted. Simon Cole, great support for Elsa 24 newsroom from Leicester Police officers dropping in for some throw cover.
Oh.
Obviously quite shocking news coming in overnight about the mass shooting again in America. Apparently the place that it took place, the Inland Regional Centre in San Bernardino, I think it is a centre that specialises in helping adults with disabilities and mental health problems. Yeah. But the shooting appeared to be unrelated to the patient, so I'm not sure what's going on there, but quite poignant on UN International Day. There's 14 people dead there, in case you haven't seen that on the news this morning. Just had a tweet from Darren Goddard, Leicestershire Police's hate crime officer, saying that he's going to be joining us later and keep up the good work, so that'd be good. Look forward to seeing Darren. He's coming down with the Stamp It Out stall from Leicestershire Police, and lots of information about what they do to support vulnerable adults, and also talking about sort of hate crime reporting and also mate crime reporting. LSEAL, Leicestershire Centre for Integrated Living, we run the West End Centre here now on a community asset transfer from Leicester City Council, and we are actually a hate crime reporting centre, so you are able to come in here and speak to one of our trained information and advice guidance officers about a hate crime maybe you've witnessed or that you've been subjected to. I think the advice from the police is always to report every incident that happens in order to build up a picture. So we'll be doing an interview with Darren later on and finding out a little bit more from him about that. Are you back in the house?
I am back in the house, yes.
Good grief.
Yes.
You kept us busy all night, speaking to various people.
Yeah, it's been very enjoyable. We've had some good chats between the five of us here, and it's been nice to link in with what people have been saying.
Yeah.
and to hopefully answer a few questions.
And Mel was quite a tough lady that we spoke to in Wisconsin who got 6 children. Obviously, a young son who's quite seriously ill, really, with his disability. And then
Well, it
two
sounds
or
like
three
all
others
of them.
as well.
Sounds like all of them
Yeah.
have various elements of the syndrome. In that, you know,
It's not that. It's
health
picking
and
up.
safety.
It's coming over
throwing
big on me.
pens,
All you can hear is you picking
risk
the pen.
assessment. If you're going to take part in that sport, let's have a form, please. Yeah, I mean, goodness knows what Mel has in her household with pens flying around and whatever. You know, a kid on an antipsychotic, and you know, coming up to teenage years as well. That's going to be a very, very challenging time. You know, not being given a diagnosis because of the age of the children. It is, you know, she said with the diagnosis of the young one that's 2 years old. You know, for the baby to stop breathing at 3 months, they're an hour's drive away from the hospital. They've not got any mobility vehicle that's suitable for the family. I mean, one of the advantages, at least, was that it was coordinated care.
Yeah.
So the appointments for basically all of the children and herself could be conducted within the same week.
And she said she stayed in the Ronald
McDonald House. Yeah. So I don't know if that's some kind of sponsored thing that
Well, I think
McDonald's
that's a charity,
do.
isn't it? It's a McDonald's charity where they provide houses where the whole family can stay while treatment's being had, I think. So, it sounded like it could be a bit of a lifesaver for Mel
I
and
think
her
that
family.
definitely.
Yeah, for her family, I think it was a bit of a lifesaver, that, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, her general, you know, she sounded so positive and upbeat and so with it. And obviously, you know, we spoke to her at 4 o'clock in the afternoon or 6 o'clock or whatever, and you know, she's there. You can hear the kids in the background. She's got this baby that she's got to be holding all the time, but with the diagnoses, now the fact that with the little one, they did the genetics test to make sure there wasn't a genetic condition, make sure there wasn't Fragile X. Now, Fragile X, I think it's a defective X chromosome that leads to low IQ, poor development. I think people with Fragile X also have quite a short life expectancy, so I think 30. I don't know much about Fragile X, but that was the thing that Andy was tested for, and because that came back negative, and I had been taking valproate, the diagnosis was given of fetal valproate syndrome. Now with Mel, that is what's happened with the youngest one, but obviously has not happened with the older one. Because even, you know, she didn't know what the syndrome was. She did not know. Now, if the baby is 2, and therefore let's make an assumption that it was conceived between 3 and 4 years ago, at that particular point in time, the Food and Drug Administration in America, who is the medicine regulator, were advising clinicians in the States that if they prescribed Depakote, sodium valproate, to women during pregnancy or of childbearing potential, then they should be prepared for litigation. And what infuriated me, I suppose, as we were going through the process over here in the UK of it not being recognised and not having a diagnosis, you had such a strong message from the States. You know, if you're going to prescribe this, expect litigation. You know, it was blunt language like that. And you don't do that when there's a 7% risk.
Yeah. Which it was in your case, wasn't it? Or
That's maximum.
How it described it in the packaging, wasn't it?
Yeah. So no, it wasn't described like that in the packaging at all. That was, you know, a neurologist telling me that.
I thought it was quite interesting when you were talking to Mel as well. She was saying about her oldest child that was undiagnosed, wasn't it? Or she was struggling to get a diagnosis, and then she found someone through almost like a support network who then shared a picture of their child when they were younger, and then she got a picture of her child out when they were younger, and they were almost identical, and that one had been diagnosed and hers wasn't, and so she said to the doctor, well, I don't think it's that, I know it's that, look, here's almost like these two pictures, and I thought it was quite interesting how the power of something like the social media could bring two people together through a common disability that their child suffers, and then actually use it. I thought it was quite interesting.
Mel, I found her on Twitter. I can't remember what she was tweeting about or what thread she put on or whatever, but I found her on Twitter, told her about the Facts Were Facebook page, and said that, you know, check it out, you'll find some support here. We've got people in the States that you might like to link up with. And you know, it's wonderful. You know, Joe, who she mentions, and Karen, who she mentions, Joe Cousins, you know, is the chair of the charity Oaks, and Karen Walsh is in the Republic of Ireland, and she is so she's on the Oaks board to you know, deal with the island sort of cohort, let's say.
During the middle of this live broadcast, Mr. John Hargreaves is interrupting me because he wants me to make him a coffee.
Welcome, John.
There we go. Do you know what? You can stay here now and talk to Emma while I make your coffee. Come on. Come on. John, you've got to go and talk. You've got to go and talk while I make your coffee.
Either that.
Just interrupted me on a live broadcast.
What do you want to talk about?
Well, just get yourself comfy. John, I know you work here. We're at ELSIL, Leicester Centre for Integrated Living. We're doing a 24-hour broadcast for the United Nations International Day of Persons with Disability. Johnny's here, he works here, and he's very nimbly manoeuvred his mobility vehicle with immense skill. That I've not got a broken leg, and I think people forget sometimes the skills that people with disabilities have that others don't have. I mean, I have invisible disability, but yours is visible because you've got the chair with you.
Yeah, well, I've been like this for 20 years now. It was in 1995 when I had an accident.
Right.
And it was something that I could never recover from. Consequently, my wheelchair becomes my legs.
Yeah.
You probably talked about the medical and social models of disability.
Not in a lot of depth, really. So, what do you class as the medical?
Explain the medical thing is that they see my disability and blame me for it, for whatever reason. With the social model of disability, it's totally different. You know, if the things were there for me, like lifts and things like that, then the social model of disability, I can use it that way on.
So, in effect, if society provided access, then your lack of use of your legs now, right, would not be a disability.
No, I mean, as it stands at present, I don't see myself as being a disabled person until I come up to something like steps.
Yeah.
And then it begins to irk me a little bit.
Yeah.
But, having been around so long, I go in and out of taxis, I can get on the buses, I can go literally anywhere I want to, providing that I can get in.
Yeah.
We have the Leicester Comedy Festival, and of course, a number of places that I wouldn't be able to get to.
Well, I've got some good news. I've got some good news for you on that.
Have you? Oh, yeah. Right.
But carry on talking about the access, access to culture in particular. I mean, we mentioned earlier about public transport, Inika, who comes down here. Inika, she's got a visual impairment. And she on her blog, Inky World on Twitter, she talks about when she's on public transport, and because with her visual impairment it's very contrast based, if there are lights outside and the window is dirty, she finds that quite distressing. And I also find it distressing to be on a coach at night because of my epilepsy, where you've got the windows in the ceiling and the roof, and you've got the street lamps. So it's this flick, 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 flick. So obviously, loads of different problems with the public transport. But as far as accessing venues, so you enjoy comedy then, and
yeah, I've got a number of friends that are also epileptic as well, and one of my friends, some years ago now, he came into the computer room at the Douglas Bader Centre, looked at the computer, went straight on the floor.
I've been very, very fortunate that I've not been affected by that.
Yeah. I mean, the chap, he was a serious epileptic.
Yeah.
And of course, he could hurt himself just by looking at things like that.
Yeah. So where do you, going back to the Dave Comedy Festival, which obviously it's here in Leicester, Dave Comedy Festival in February. Now I'm involved this year. I performed a couple of years ago at Newfoundland Neighbourhood Centre.
Oh, right.
It was part of the Square Mile Smiles, so the DMU Square Mile project, and you just go up and do a sort of like a 10-week sort of evening class. It was either 6 weeks or 10-week evening class, and then at the end of that, you perform a 20-minute stand-up for the comedy festival, and that was enjoyable. But there were steps, and a disabled person in a wheelchair would have to use the back entrance. Now that's something that I find particularly objectionable. The fact that a disabled person has in a wheelchair has to use a different entrance.
Yeah. I've been to restaurants. I have to do exactly the same thing. If you mind going around the back, we'll open the back door for you. You can get it that way. I mean, it's like water off a duck's back to me nowadays. I mean, there was times where I used to get angry about it, but now, so long as I can get in and get a meal, that's fine.
Yeah. How did you manage that anger?
I don't manage it because I don't get angry anymore.
Yeah, well, what changed?
I think it was just, what changed was that I had a different look at life and the way of thinking of life. And it was like a step change. Now, it doesn't matter. If I can get in, I'll get in.
Yeah.
But there's still lots and lots of places where I can't get in. There's lots of restaurants. If, for instance, I was to go down the Golden Mile, I'd find that I wouldn't be able to get in 99% of the shops and restaurants down there.
Really?
Because some of them got the step is getting off for 18 inches high.
Right.
And there's no way that I could access that.
Yeah. So maybe that's something that we could work on in Leicester and improve, considering the Golden Mile is such a huge attraction during Diwali, and also it's a major restaurant area, isn't it?
Well, it is. That's right.
Yeah.
But it's also earmarked for becoming one of the shared spaces.
Right. Okay.
So within a few months, it's quite likely there'll be a wholesale change down there, where we're hoping that to be able to make it a lot more shops and restaurants accessible, mainly by putting ramps in.
Yeah.
extending the curbs,
Yeah.
slowing down the traffic. Instead of 2 lanes of traffic, there's 1 lane each way.
Right. Okay.
There are a series of traffic lights and things like that as well. The people are worried, well, I don't worry about, but I'm concerned about, are people who've got a blind or are poorly sighted. And of course a lot of deaf people as well. With the traffic, as it stands at present, we've only got to give one shared space in Leicester. But the car drivers do take liberties. It's supposed to be 10 miles an hour, but I've seen people doing at least 30 miles an hour on the shared space, which is a bit naughty really, because if a person was blind, there's the opportunity to run people over. Thankfully, it's not happened. But I've known 1 or 2 people get knocked over by cyclists.
Yeah, I think there has to be something. I mean, one of my little bugbears, I suppose, at the moment is cyclists on the pavement, and also people on the mobility scooters who think it's okay to be racing down the pavement at 10 miles an hour.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
And and having to jump out of the way, and I think, all right, you've had a bit of a rough deal, and you're having to manage a life that other people don't have to manage, and you're inconvenienced. It doesn't mean to say that the pavement is now yours. Show a bit of empathy and understanding for other people. Because the speed that people go on them, it's ridiculous. Obviously, you need to have a bit of speed, because if you're going a couple of miles, then you don't want to be plodding along at 5 miles an hour. But it's, how do you think it helps
in a wheelchair? But I do notice that there are a lot of people who use mobility scooters, and some of them go up to 12 miles an hour, and they're not supposed to do it. It's the top limit is 4 miles per hour. Sorry, on the pavement, and that's it. And the same thing should apply to scooters. But unfortunately, a lot of the people that drive scooters nowadays have gone to shops and bought them themselves. Really, so they've got a scooter, high-powered thing. And I've seen people get off of scooters, go round the shops, do all the shopping and all the rest of it, and jump back on and off they go. And I often say to myself, I wonder what their disability could be.
I mean, it's very, very difficult, isn't it? Because that kind of thing has been very poorly assessed in the work capability assessments and the assessments for PIP.
Yeah.
In that, people who are able to walk the certain distance, all of a sudden, no, you're not having any mobility allowance. When, in fact, that exhausts them. They can do it because they don't want to be confined to their chair.
Yeah.
They want to empower themselves, and if they can walk for 50 metres, then it's probably good exercise. But you can't, if that is the only distance that they can go in a day. And like you say, if somebody does walk around the shops for, an hour, maybe they can't carry the stuff for very long. Maybe there is a balance, isn't it? Because you the shop mobility schemes that they do in shopping centres.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Can anybody go in and
yes,
hire a scooter?
Actually.
So I could go in.
We've got 2 in Leicester. One is on the High Cross Centre.
Yeah.
And the other one is on the Haymarket Centre.
Yeah.
It will be situated near to the bus station that's being built at the moment. And they're exceptionally good. I've been a member for many years. Don't use them now because I don't need to. It's really, really good. There are lots and lots of people that cannot get around who can drive to the upper floors on
At the High Cross one.
I'm sorry, the High Cross
Yeah,
one. Yeah.
yeah.
And then get a scooter or a wheelchair, whatever they need.
Mm.
Yeah, it's
It's really, really
a
nice,
really,
isn't it?
really good
Yeah,
setup, that is.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
definitely. Could I ask you another question? I'm noticing that you're wearing a hearing aid.
Well, I should wear two, but if I've got two hearing aids,
Yeah.
I can't hear the phone very well.
Right, okay.
And I'll tell you why. It's because it picks up a lot of outside noise.
Mm.
And of course, there's somebody trying to talk to me on the telephone.
You don't want the amplified
I
noise.
don't want it,
Yes. Yeah.
So that's why I've only got one in. I've got the other one in,
Right.
in with my spec case.
Well, just a bit of a question. Something that I've noticed, maybe over the past year or so, is I've noticed more hearing aids are whistling. And people are saying that, oh, well, it just doesn't fit properly. It's an NHS, standard NHS model. It doesn't fit properly. Is there some? What the difference between different types? I mean, is your standard or has been made especially for you, or?
Well, I used to use for many years the standard NHS ones. But somebody said to me, well, if you go along to Boots, then Boots will fit you up with some smashing hearing aids. And they're half price, a staggering amount of money, £2,500. But
Gosh.
those state of the art hearing aids.
And they're not whistling.
They're not whistling, no. But the sound seems to bounce off the walls sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're actually good hearing aids, yeah.
I think I have some scepticism regarding medical devices,
Yes.
all right, and pharmaceutical products, and the way that they're tested, the way they're marketed, the way that obviously assistive technology companies regarding the devices want to stand in, they want to make a profit, and I don't know whether it's a fair assumption or not, but I think the quality of the hearing aids that the NHS now provide is a lot poorer than it used to be, because I never remember my granny's hearing aid whistling.
Right.
All right, I don't ever remember during my entire childhood hearing anybody with a whistling hearing aid. Whereas I think the three people who I know now who wear a standard hearing aid, they all whistle, and it's unpleasant for everybody around, and obviously it must be doing more damage to their own ears.
I would probably agree with you on that.
So do you think they've just getting a cheaper model in for NHS customers with the hope that a lot of them, like yourself, will go and buy a better private model?
Well, I went because I needed to hear better than what I was with the standard NHS hearing aid. Consequently, somebody put me in touch with Boots because their family had got people with hearing problems, and they were doing really well.
Yeah.
And I do really well with my hearing aid, to be quite honest.
Yeah. Are they standard batteries, or are they specialised?
No, we've got different batteries to what the NHS
Yeah.
Hearing aids.
But is it like a watch battery though, or is it?
Yeah, it's similar sort of thing. It's a little bit bigger than the ordinary ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, I find to get on all right with them.
Yeah.
And I go back every 6 months for a checkup.
Yeah.
That's all for a charge all thrown in.
Yeah. That's really good. That's really good. I'm glad.
Yeah.
It's a
And
pleasure
I understand that there are a number of different companies now in the city that do the hearing aids at the same time.
Yeah, because I think there was a big thing. Specsavers started doing a lot.
That's
didn't
it.
they, as well?
Specsavers are doing them.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and the digital hearing aids as well
I
that are
should
being
love
advertised.
to hear the advertising slogan from Specsavers in relation to the hearing aids.
And I think it's buy a hearing aid and get a pair of glasses for free. Get a
Yeah.
pair of varifocals or something for free. I think that was one of their
It
kind
was
of,
at one
there
time,
was some
wasn't it?
kind of deal between getting a cheaper pair of glasses or specialised eye examination or whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah. What do you are there any developments in assistive technology that you've heard about that people are excited about when they come out on the market, or people are using already, trialling?
Oh, there are some things, to do with wheelchairs that, new ones that are coming out, but they're again, new ones have been coming out all the time. But there's some really jazzy new wheelchairs come on the market that are far easier to use.
Can you explain to non-wheelchair users, what is important? What is different about the chair that you're in now to the chair that you had 20 years ago?
Right. Well, I've got another chair as well.
Yeah.
I've got this one is obviously battery powered,
Right. Okay.
and I need to charge it up each day.
Yeah.
But I've also got a manual wheelchair that I push along myself.
Yeah.
Of course, I don't push it unless I've got to. So if we need to go out in the car, can't take this.
Yeah.
But I can take the manual one.
Yeah. Yeah. And does that fold up?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And has the large wheel on it?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you find that keeps you, do you find it's a good form of exercise?
Oh, yeah. Well, it is actually. Yeah.
Yeah. And do you feel your heart beating faster and?
Yeah, when we go out for a meal and everything, I can usually push myself around the pub,
Yeah. Yeah.
even when I've had a pint.
Stay away from the pavements near me, please.
Oh, yes.
So, I mean, like you've got your headrest. Explain to me the importance of you having a headrest. Why have you got that? Why do some people use a headrest and why some don't?
It came with a wheelchair, actually. But there are times where I get some neck pain.
Yeah.
And I need to sit back and rest.
Can you alter the incline of the chair, or is that fixed in a fixed position?
It's in a fixed position.
Yeah.
On this particular one.
Yeah.
But there are models where you can alter it.
Yeah, because I saw a chap. You remember you were there at the Disability Policy and Politics Day at Leicester Adult Education Centre a couple of weeks ago, weren't you?
That's right. Yes, I was. Yeah.
Yeah, the chap who was sitting just along from me, I think he'd come over from Birmingham, and he had a chair that he leaned back in it, and then the legs kind of like came up a bit, and then the headrest moved a little bit, and it was a completely different shape that the chair was able to form.
This one will do similar sort of things. I can get this one to move up and down.
Ah, right, okay,
Same sort of thing, yeah.
but the actual shape it remains kind of like 90 degrees there. Yeah. And so, do you use those different settings, or is that just a gadget that's on the chair?
I do use them all the while, actually. Yeah.
Why?
Well, if I need to get in a taxi, my wheelchair legs catch on the ramps as you go in.
Oh, right.
But if I tip it back far enough, then I can go straight in. And I've been going with Swift taxis for a good number of years now, and a lot of the drivers always joke because I can always go straight into it.
Yeah.
I can get in quicker than an able-bodied person.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you see, because I always used to think that the whole the whole reason for any chair moving was to change where the pressure was, and therefore ease sores.
Yeah.
Now I appreciate, obviously, is that something that, I mean, like, feel free not to answer any of these questions, but it'll be, you know, have you had experience of having an uncomfortable chair,
Yes,
or,
I have, yeah.
and having to deal with sores and whatever?
Up until 18 months ago, I used to have to wear a neck collar continually.
Right, okay.
And I've worn it since my accident. And it just happened to be that I needed a checkup at the Royal Infirmary. And I saw a doctor, Dr. Samantha, who did all the original work on my neck and spine and things like that. And I said, what about my neck collar? Oh, I said, if you don't want it on, take it off. So I said, what, you mean just take it off and leave it? He said, yeah, you'd be okay. And after all those years, yeah.
Oh, God.
So I was really happy to jettison.
Well,
the neck collar.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, that's Daisy the dog, protective. We've got a new person here in the Leicester Centre for Integrated Living 24-hour broadcast for UN International Day of Persons with Disability. So, who have we got joining us? John, it's been wonderful to chat to you. Please stay here. Will you stay here for a bit and carry on drinking your coffee? I want to grab this lady here. We've got, what's your name?
I'm Jessie.
Jessie, come and say hi.
Hello.
All right, you won't come up quite yet. It's a very, very slight time delay on this.
Okay.
So pull up a chair and come and tell us what you're here to do today.
Hi, Daisy.
Oh, she's made friends now. Great.
Friends.
Right.
We're here for the Creative Kids Lab pop-up shop. So what we do is interactive, hands-on science activities, technology, engineering and maths, STEM.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And what group of that is that with?
Well, it's Pre-Science STEM, which is this movement I started because I'm dyslexic and I really struggled at school with science and maths. And my mum used to go home and do interactive, hands-on activities with me so that I can get into it and it will be a bit more interesting for me. So I can get through the rigorous parts, like reading books that are just in black and white with no pictures, which is a struggle for me being dyslexic sometimes. So I have a really short attention span. But yeah, that's where it started. Now we're just moving around here with science pop-ups.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So are you going to be working with the kids that are coming in from
We've got a
Westgate,
little
Harrismere
stall.
and Ashfield today?
We've
Right,
got a
okay, well,
stall.
you'll probably have my son in with you later because he's coming with Westgate. So,
Is he a STEM enthusiast?
sorry, say that again.
Is he like into science, maths, technology?
Oh, STEM, right? Okay, so yeah, acronym. I think he has an interest,
Yeah.
but I think the autism is really quite a barrier to regular styles of teaching, and maybe some of the his developmental delay sort of like holds him back from the actual learning. He definitely has interest. He likes watching things spin.
Yeah.
He likes watching things move. You know the maze, the ball, where you have a little ball bearing
Yeah.
and a maze, and or little mechanics where you've got a cog that picks up the ball bearing, which drops it down a ramp,
Yeah,
and it goes
it
down
goes-
a marble
yeah.
run and round. So he finds them fascinating, you know, and they're all over YouTube. And he got one. We had a little family Christmas do, well, pre-Christmas do last weekend, and his uncle gave him, one of these little diddy things.
Yeah.
And he's now got that on the computer desk, and when he comes home from school, he came home from school today. Well, obviously yesterday now, but turned it on and watched it and whatever, and really likes it. So
do you
that's part of science, isn't it?
Do you think maybe that it's not that he struggles to understand the basics, and that maybe it's a case of them not catering the science and maths that they teach him in schools to how he likes it or how he learns?
Do
you think if it was more catered to his what he liked, that it would be a bit?
No, because he responds well whenever they do the projects. I mean, he is at Westgate, where they have a specialised autism provision. 75% of the kids there are autistic.
Oh, okay.
All right, so they are very geared up to providing an education for those with who are on the autistic spectrum, who also have other complex learning disabilities. John's got to leave us to go and do some work. He doesn't class being a broadcaster as doing work.
I shall be back.
All right, okay. I may well be gone, but I'll definitely, well, no, I'll probably stay for a bit longer, actually.
We talk about shared spaces.
Yes, definitely. I think that's something that needs to be returned to at several points during the day, because it's so much about the city and how we develop the city.
That's right.
Yeah.
And how other cities have developed theirs as well. And of course, the share spaces right across the world. New Zealand have a good system apparently, so we can explore that as well.
Yeah. I think John's got some things lined up to speak to people overseas later. So hopefully you've got a copy of the programme, haven't you, somewhere? So is this you, John Hargreaves?
Yes.
Right.
They
Okay.
always put an S on the end.
And you're John Hargrave.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay. So John will be back at 10:30 to talk about shared spaces. And I've lost the lovely lady here who was talking about science and technology for people with learning disability. But no doubt we'll find her. But John's got to desert us and go and do some work and run this fabulous place, which is Leicester Centre for Integrated Living.
Yeah,
John.
thank you very much.
Thank you
I will
very
join
much.
you later on.
I have been very much enlightened as to the use of chairs and the process by which people go about getting a hearing aid and what's available out there. So
why not?
thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye now.
See you in a bit.
Thank you.
Am I being to say I'm all on my own again? Right, okay. Well, I can't believe it. I thought that I would stay here till 6 o'clock in the morning, but it is now 7:45 GMT. We have 2:45 in New York and 8:45 in Paris. So those people in the UK, I'd like to say hi to all of the minibus drivers and escorts who are currently picking up the children to take them to our specialist education provision in the city. They'll do a fabulous job. Very patient people who have great skills with the kids and a great ability to have a chat with the parents and make sure there's a nice smooth transition for the children. So if you'd like to tune in, well, you're obviously tuned in actually, so you probably don't need to have the details of the website. Oh, we've got Laura back. She's clean. She's had a bath. She's been here for 24 hours already. She's got another 12 to go probably.
I'll be with you in a minute. Doing the hair.
There you go. Yeah, right. Can't see her until she's done the straighteners. Okay. All right. Great stuff. I think maybe John's still powdering his nose. Not John we had just here. Not John Hargrave, but John Costa. He's disappeared for a while, preparing things for the later activities in the day. And it's not Wesley, it's Les.
Yeah.
Sorry, getting
Alright.
names all mixed up, but I remembered. Les is over to my left here. Oh, he's going to come and say hello. Fabulous. We are going to be honoured. Honoured. Here he comes. Here he comes. Right. Right. So, yeah, did you? I was just chatting to John about wheelchairs.
Yeah.
And the different styles of wheelchairs and what they're all for, and the fact that he likes to go out to restaurants quite a bit and finds the Golden Mile very, very challenging, you know, Melcombe Road,
Yeah. Yeah.
which I think is a great shame considering it's such a Leicester highlight of our festival's year.
Yeah.
The thousands of people that come from.
I think because it's the pathway, it's the paths, isn't it? Because they are quite small.
Yeah, but what he's saying is that a lot of the steps up into the shops.
Yeah. Oh yes,
you know,
yeah.
he says
it would
the steps
be, yeah.
into the
And
shops
the doorways are not that
and
wide.
into the restaurants.
Yeah. And the doorways are not that
Mm.
wide. Yeah, because when you get to the corner, a lot of the corner restaurants have these fancy tile stairs as you go into the restaurant.
Right. Okay. I haven't been up there for a while, but that kind of thing,
Yeah.
I don't really think about
Yeah.
at all. You know, I've not been out with a pushchair for
Me neither.
15 years. Well, not quite 15 years, but you know, so I'm not even used
Yeah.
to having
Yeah.
having to deal with any wheels at all.
But yeah,
Um,
the paths are not that brilliant up there either. So even though they've got rid of the flyover, you thought that they may have widened the. No, they didn't.
Well, John's saying he's going to come back and talk at 10:30 about shared spaces.
Yeah.
But he was saying that there was some plan to put in just 2 lanes of traffic instead of there being 2 lanes on either side. Just have one on either side. So yeah, I'm not. It's a very, very busy road. You know, there's a lot of traffic to get up there. There's a lot of buses.
Especially coming down.
So, you know, however that is being planned, I really, really do hope that there's going to be a big consultation with, between council, town planners and centres like the Leicester Centre for Integrated Living, who are all about empowering people with impairments to try and basically remove the disability and focus on the social model of disability, which is if our society improves its what it offers in terms of accessibility and space, then a lot of disability is removed. You know, if we make doorways wider, if we make ramp access, if we create bubbles on the pavement, if we make bold colours to show where things are, then a lot of things can be minimised, and people who have been traditionally looked at as just having a disability and you can't go there, well, they can actually take part in a life that they've been denied in the past.
Instead of making it a no-go area.
Mm.
I know, I didn't think of that, to be honest. Yeah, because this time of the year when you got the lights and all the events that are being advertised down there, and you can't get down there because you're in a wheelchair. And interesting. I never thought about it, to be honest.
No, me neither.
Even I was just thinking that I'm trying to think now, and even the neighbourhood centre, it's got steps.
But I did, we mentioned the Newfoundland Neighbourhood Centre, which is just down the road, and I was saying to John, because he mentioned the Dave Comedy Festival, and the fact that he likes the comedy, but there are so many venues that he cannot get into, which, raises that question of access to culture for people with a variety of disabilities, and, and the fact that in many places somebody with mobility issues, either in a chair, has to go round the back, has to use a works entrance, or and that whole idea of having 2 entrances,
It's a bit like second-class citizens around.
Yeah, yeah. It doesn't sit comfortably with me. Really doesn't. But with the Dave Comedy Festival, if we kind of like mention that to viewers around the world, Dave Comedy Festival is a comedy festival that takes place every year in Leicester in February, and there is a selection of acts, performances, anything from stand-up to plays to spoken word to all with a comedy twist on it, clowning. I'm sure there'll be some circus skills kind of things as well. I'm taking part in some of that this year, but it's at the Attenborough Centre. If I hold this up again, the Attenborough Arts Centre, which is a fabulous.
Where's the centre? For those who are not in Leicester.
It's on Lancaster Road, which is about a 10-minute walk from Leicester Railway Station, just off the A6 London Road, just south of Leicester. Well, I mean it's on the south side of the A6 rather than the north side, which is the Melton Road Golden Mile. So we've got the Golden Mile that is inaccessible, and we have London Road, which I consider to be quite accessible. They've got nice wide pavements. They've got a lot of area for the buses to pull in with the raised steps, and I think quite a lot. Yeah,
there's been a lot of work down there.
Yeah. It's all the paving stones are all even. There's not any potholes, and it's well kept. So Attenborough Arts Centre, they do loads and loads of activities.
So what are you doing there? Sorry, carry on.
Oh, I'm taking part in Last Wolf Productions, Last Wolf of England, which a couple of friends of mine, Simon Myhill and Steve Cartwright, who they're both regular performers here in Leicester, really doing spoken word, and Steve writes poems and sings, plays guitar. Simon does more spoken word and poetry, but the two of them write a lot of material together over the last couple of years, and have come out with a story based around Lady Jane Grey and Sir Francis Beaumont, and the relationship between the two of them.
Yeah.
And it's all done with a bit of a comedy spin. We're using actual facts, details from the Tudor period, but it's all followed by 21st century media.
Yeah.
So we've got a drone following them around, while they're on their picnic, So you've got the two, you've got a couple of presenters who are doing, it's a radio play that we perform live.
Yeah.
And I do the sound effects, and I'm also one of the news presenters.
Okay.
So that's been quite a challenge to me, because I've not done any drama really since I was at school.
Okay.
Apart from this little bit of stand-up that I did a couple of years ago for Dave at Comedy Festival, and a year before that for Comic Relief at the Cookie. I slack a bit having a go really. It's fun, but my reasoning for booking the Attenborough Arts Centre was because of its access. I mean, this thing that we're doing is an adult play, because it has some lewd language in it. The general content is really adult. They're adult jokes, and I think what I've learnt a lot from coming down here is that a lot of people with all kinds of disabilities are either too exhausted in the evening to go out to an evening performance when adult shows are generally on. They're either too exhausted, or they cannot get a carer to take them. Or they cannot use the transport at that time, or there is some obstacle to them accessing culture and the arts and theatre and drama, and I think that we have the opportunity to do something about it. Definitely Attenborough Arts Centre, you know, that it's fabulous, and this place as well. I hope that there's going to be some more events going on here as Elsil continues to evolve as it has for the past. Right, Steve, how long's Elsil been going now?
Oh Lord. 20 years nearly.
Yeah,
20 years.
But yeah, but it's only been here nearly just not quite 2 years.
So,
Yeah.
18 months it's been here at the centre.
Right. Okay. Okay. So, yeah, it's still in the early days then for here at the West End
centre,
State.
absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is the play that I'm involved with. I'm going to hopefully get, because it's a Friday afternoon.
How long's it running for? It's just a one-off?
Just a one-off. On Friday afternoon, and I'm going to try and, you know, publicise it down here
Yeah.
and get a group of people here to actually
To
go
go,
along, because it will all be done just at 4:30, which will give them time to get home. They're not going to be paying a carer sort of like 3 times the hourly rate that they usually would. They're going to be able to get the transport that they would. They're going to be able to take the medication on time. They're going to be able to get their head down and sleep and actually enjoy something without panicking about, you know,
The
anxieties.
logistics of getting there and back, and
Yeah, and also, you know, there is the facility if anybody has any medical conditions or requires hoist for changing purposes, that facility is there.
Okay.
You know, you don't need to ask. You don't need to have a special key. You don't. You know, you go in there and use it. And I think that's. I think it's a great thing, really, great thing, because if people with visible disabilities were accessing culture and everyday life more often, then the general public would have a better understanding, because they'd be engaging and chatting to
just be part
people.
of the norm, yeah. So
Yeah.
something out of the ordinary.
Yeah. So
Or uniformity, that's the word I was looking for. Not normality.
uniformity.
Yeah.
Well, it's strange. We've had that chat this evening about normal. You know, the use of words.
Words,
And the word normal. If you're not normal, then you're abnormal. But still, I slip into that. When I was talking to Mel from you know, Wisconsin, you know, I said you know, normal, and she used the word regular.
Yeah.
You know, so we're all using this kind of thing. And Laura picked me up earlier when I was talking about epilepsy and what we call you know, is it an episode, is it a seizure? And I used the word fit, which
Well, when I was younger, it was called fits as well.
yeah, I mean the drive in the States it being towards seizure.
Yeah.
I think probably because seizure, it sounds nicer. Fit is actually how it looks. I think for somebody to see it, it's a shock. Whereas seizure, you know, my experience of seizures is it's not a pleasurable, relaxing sort of, you know, is it?
Yeah.
Well, I don't feel that straight away. It's a couple of hours later.
Yeah.
But yeah. So the words. If any of you they're watching online, if you want to join in any chat, send us some questions. Then Leicester CIL on Twitter.
Yeah, you can hashtag LSIL24 or hashtag LSILglobal.
Let's pop that on here.
Yeah, I should have done that. It's all the way over there. Yeah, John's
Oh my word! Pear drops. Oh dear. Oh dear. Change the pens.
That's
Change the pens.
Oh, don't forget that. Gonna get high on that.
Okay, so there you go. If you want to take part, oh, gosh, pens, noxious pens. Oh dear. I said I was going to do tonight without any intoxicants. Right, okay, so if you've got any questions, hashtag LCIL24, hashtag LCIL Global, and the Twitter tag here is at Leicester CIL. Send us your questions, give us some retweets, send us your love, we'll give you some love back. If you want to give a shout out to anybody, then let us know. We've got the schools coming in later to do some fabulous activities. Les has been charging up all of the video cameras so the kids can come in, take some video footage of each other, have a practice interviewing each other, upload it, and share their ideas. Let us see some photographs, the viewpoints of people with learning disability. I'm always amazed about the pictures that my son will take. He'll go around with the camera instead of taking pictures of people. He took a picture last year of a digital radio up on the top shelf of my aunt's house. You know, it was beautifully centred, beautifully focused, but his major event was seeing this digital radio up on the shelf. What I would have taken pictures of is these relatives we haven't seen for a year. But, that gives you a little bit of idea about what different people see, whether it's to do with disability, culture, social, spiritual, the global citizen, wherever. We see things from a different perspective, don't we? And today is all about sharing that perspective. You know, what is your understanding of disability? Should we need a Disability Awareness Day? This is the UN International Day of People with Disabilities, and we are marking that here at Leicester Centre for Integrated Living with a 24-hour live broadcast. We've got the Twitter feeds, we've got the Facebook going, lots of comments coming in. We've had conversations with people in the States. We're due to have LAMP come in later on, and on mental health and Rethink. John's back with us. John, who are Rethink?
Rethink carers. Yeah.
Rethink.
Yeah. Carers.
Rethink are all about carers. I think a lot of the time when we discuss disability, we maybe forget some of the carers. When we were speaking to Mel earlier, she's got 6 children, and she has a couple that have really quite intensive health needs. Her husband works an awkward shift. She has no respite, and she hasn't got any access to a mobility vehicle. So going out for the day is very difficult. She doesn't get any time to herself. She has these challenging children to look after. They have a condition called fetal valproate syndrome, although some of them are not diagnosed, and it's due to medication taken during pregnancy. Okay, so John, do you want to tell us what you've been up to? I see you've put a bit of makeup on, made yourself look a bit presentable after...
I've been sweeping all the leaves outside, so people can get up the disability
Sweeping
around.
leaves.
Leaf sweeper, yeah.
Well, you see, that's something that
and I
you
put a flag up.
shopkeepers...
And I put a flag up.
Shopkeepers could do this, and general people in the street, go and sweep the leaves up. They get in the way of pushchair wheels, wheelchair wheels. They're slippery
They were
when
in my
wet.
way. They were in my way. I couldn't get in either, so it was, yeah.
Yeah.
got to that point. They needed sleep, sweeping up. So I nearly said sleeping. They're sweeping up. How long's it
It's
been?
been at it for so long.
Yeah, just because I look fresh, it doesn't mean I've only just started.
No, I was just being polite. Right. Oh, Laura's back in here as well. Okay, we've got the hardcore shift in here. Okay, we've got John, we've got Steve, and we've got Laura. All right, who all work here at Elsil, do a fabulous job, and somehow they've managed to get me to come in and be awake for 24 hours. Also, I've not been here all that time, and actually I have had 3 hours sleep in the last 24 hours, so I'm cheating really. But these guys,
She did turn up with vegan stew though.
I did turn up with vegan stew,
For breakfast.
which you haven't. No, it's midnight feast. I was thinking, with all these shops over the road, you're not going to have any food. It's sort of like you're going to be rushed off your feet with people calling from all four corners of the world. Our world doesn't have corners, but never mind.
This map does. This map actually has corners. We'll let you off. That's quite cool. Did we manage to get hold of the person in Melbourne? Or the person in Arizona have probably gone to bed now, haven't they?
I think they probably have.
He was
I
putting
didn't
his kids
get.
to bed.
I got.
We couldn't quite hook up with a guy in India, could we?
I've got another message from a chap in Pakistan. I seem to be having quite a bit of luck online today by being contacted by chaps overseas who I've never spoken
vegan
to.
stew, didn't you? That will do it every time. They will do that every time. They might be watching you. What if they're one of these 6 people watching us now? We're assuming these people are in Leicester. These could be
we
like
are
serial vegan stew stalkers.
Okay, so Basit Ali has contacted me.
Let's speak to him.
No. Well, yes, I could call him. We could. Okay,
Ask him the same question
hello,
you asked.
how are you? And then hi. Second later, hi. So I've sent him the elsilvoice.com, which is the website here, which you are viewing the live stream on probably. And I've told him that it's the UN International Day of Persons with Disability. So
To which he responded,
what I not understand, Emma? Which country you belong, please? What you doing?
Had a long night.
Reply, please. Well, I would suggest that he's not read my profile.
no, not at all.
I would suggest that he's not in this at all, and I'm pretty confident.
We'll move swiftly past him.
Right, Nippon has got back to us. Okay, Nippon is in Raipur in India. I believe it's India, isn't it? Yeah.
We've even put him on the map.
Oh yes, he's on the map. So Nippon Arjun. I hope I've pronounced your name okay. And we were unable to get audio earlier. So John suggested we ask him a question then for him to be able to respond to us on Messenger. So I said, what's your understanding of disability? And he's got back and said, disabled people must be treated in the same way as we treat ourselves, Emma. RSPV. So we're unable to contact him by audio because I think he's using an old handset. So
no one here had heard of, so I believe it was.
Yeah.
What handset was he using?
He was using Carbon 62.
Les Roy's rolled his eyes for those that can't see him.
Okay. Well. All right. So disabled people must be treated in the same way as we treat ourselves. Now, many of us have disabilities that are visible, and many of us have disabilities that are invisible.
And we were talking about that, weren't we?
Mine is pretty much invisible because I have epilepsy. But it really has affected my life really quite drastically. And it always will. Other people have mental health illness and various other hidden disabilities like we've had a chat earlier. I keep calling you Wesley, and you're not
Everybody
Wesley.
does
That's
that,
right.
yeah.
Les. Okay, Les has been chatting about having an oval-shaped eye, a rugby football-shaped eye, which has affected his sight. Keratoconus.
I never knew that.
Well, there you go. There you go.
Consider me educated, Mr. Lesroy.
Uh-huh.
And what were you talking to Mr. Hargraves about?
Well, I had a fabulous chat with
Shared spaces is his.
Well, no, because we didn't go on really
Okay.
concentrating on that.
That's good because I've got an interview with him at 10:30. So.
Well, I was asking him about assistive technologies. I asked him about his chair, and generally, you know, when he came parked in here, you went, moved the chair out of the way. He came and parked in. He didn't bash into me. He manoeuvred himself in one swift motion.
It's very agile, isn't it?
And you know, that's, you know, that is an ability that I certainly don't have. I don't consider myself to be disabled because I can't do it. But if I was put in a chair and told, okay, well, you're going to do this activity with John, and you're going to work together on that, he would need to be he would need to be coaching me.
Yeah.
And he would probably need to sort of like take himself back a bit so that he could teach me how to use a chair. And just when I see the way that people use their chairs, I am kind of like amazed at the swiftness or whatever. So we've had a chat about the different kinds of chairs because we were both at the Disability Policy and Politics Day a couple of weeks ago that you did at Leicester Education Centre.
Benson Hall, yeah.
And you know, there was the chap there who I think had come over from Birmingham, who had the chair that sort of like reclined and the legs came up.
Was that Paul, Steve, from Birmingham CIO? Paul? Robert, at the policy day.
Robert, it might have been
Robert.
Robert.
It was Robert, wasn't it? Robert,
Yeah,
that was it.
Paul.
Robert, yeah. Robert.
Yeah.
Not the chap who was given the presentation.
No, that was Paul Dark.
Right, okay.
Robert. That was,
The chat was sat to my left, right at the end when we had a chat about today really, and do we really need it? So you know what his chair can do is absolutely amazing. So I had a little chat with John really about, you know, what do the different chairs do, and does he need all of the gadgets that he's got on here? He's asked him about his headrest, and he explained that, you know, he had an accident 20 years ago, which has meant why he's wearing, you know, why he uses a chair today. And we also had a little chat about hearing aids, and something that I've noticed over the past few years is people that I know that have got standard NHS issued hearing aid, they whistle, they don't fit properly, and it is unpleasant for people in the same room. It must be unpleasant for the wearer, and it must be doing more damage to their hearing as well. And my general sort of like view is a cheap NHS product being bought so that people go out and spend and buy a private one. If we had a more expensive and better quality, well-fitted aid issued by the NHS as a standard, there would not be this market for, you know, hearing aids that you go to somewhere else for. You know, John's just said he spent £2,500 or £3,500 on his hearing aids. It's state of the art or whatever, but you know, he says he has issues with the sound bouncing off walls sometimes, and he will often only wear the aid in one ear because of using the phone, and because if he's got it in the phone ear, then because of all of the background noise being amplified, he can't focus on the phone call anymore, the voice. So it's really, really interesting to chat about assistive technologies and the shop mobility, the High Cross and the Haymarket. and how great it is that those schemes are there up and running. But he also came out with something that I was a little bit surprised about, and I suppose it's which is that he's seen people who have arrived at a shopping centre on a scooter, left it outside, got up, gone round all of the shops, come back with their bags, walking absolutely fine apparently, sat down, gone off in there, gone back off in the mobility vehicle, and he's questioning, what is your mobility issue? If you can walk around for an hour, and if you can lift your bags, why is it that you need that scooter? So I had a little bit the whole issue about work capability assessments and the fact that somebody might be able to do that, but they are then exhausted for the rest of the day and pretty much incapacitated for the rest of the day. So just because somebody is getting up out of a chair, that chair is there to stop their impairment being a disability. And I've changed some of my language today. He mentioned the social model and the medical model of disability, and that's it. I'd never put names to it. I could see that people were being treated with a medical diagnosis, but Steve, what you were saying about not everybody with multiple sclerosis is the same. They're very, very different, each individual person. I kind of know that, but I've not kind of broken it down before.
No.
So it's great to hear that, and great to hear this language being used uniformly here and understood, and it has definitely educated me in a further step. I like I truly believe in the social model, and social model being that society should be more accessible to everybody, and then impairments would not be disabilities. Because view ourselves as having abilities rather than disabilities. The way that John was manoeuvring his chair earlier, amazing. Where's John disappeared to now? The other John. I keep being deserted. I start talking about something. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's just because I start talking and they just shoot off. Maybe that's why I've only got 5 people watching. Right, okay. Come on, everybody. Tell your mates. Come on. Right. 8:20 in London. This is Leicester Centre for Integrated Living on the UN International Day for Persons with Disability. It's been a brilliant night. This hardcore lot around me. We've got Laura Horton, Stephen Cooper, and we have Les.
In the corner, yeah.
Les in the corner. He will not. My hand. Oh gosh, wait a minute. I should stop looking at the screen because there's like a couple of second time gaps. So when I'm pointing with my right hand, it looks like I'm pointing with my left hand because it's 2 frames ago. Right. Well, Les has been doing some great stuff on the technology side of things, getting everything ready for when the kids come in later. They're coming in from the special schools and colleges to do some media activities. So Westgate School will be here. Hello, Westgate. Ellesmere College will be here today. Hi, Ellesmere. And Ashfield Academy and Leicester College. Yeah. If you want to get in touch with us on Twitter, here we go. Hashtag LCIL24. Hashtag LCIL Global. And the address is at Leicester CIL, Centre for Integrated Living. All right. Now, I think I'm about in need of another cup of tea. So I'm going to have to hand over to somebody. I think it's probably Laura's turn.
I'm nipping out. I've got to go get
Oh, how
some
convenient!
hooks for big pictures.
Some hooks for pictures. She needs hooks for pictures at 8:20 in the morning.
11
All right,
million
and she's had like
children
3 weeks, 3 weeks to prepare for this event. All right, and she's left hooks to the last minute. I do not, I don't believe it. She's just pretending that she's shy, and she's not at all. Right, okay, so
I'll sit
great
here
stuff. Leslie's come to take over from me. I'm going to go and make some tea. Would any of you guys like another cuppa?
No.
I'm alright for the time being.
Yeah. All right. Okay. See you in a bit, guys.
I'll take it up in a minute and what's going on. Yeah, they're currently setting up for the big event that started at 10 a.m. between 10 and 6 in the main hall at Elsil. He says. Yeah, the marketplace will be open at 10. And they're currently setting up in there. I won't take it round and embarrass them. And if you want to get in touch, on the Twitter is hashtag Elsil24 and also Elsil Global. And they've launched a new website, www.elsilvoice.com. On the website, you've got the Twitter feed, and you've got news items, and you've got a live stream which goes directly to the Choice Unlimited channel.
Laura, you know when you live high, can you pick up some milk?
Yeah, there's some in. Some in the
Yeah, but no, there's a
Later
little
on,
bit in the fridge. There's just more. Is there?
This
All right.
morning,
Okay. Well, there's probably
John will
enough.
be
Okay.
going around the marketplace, and he'll be interviewing John Hargreaves about shared spaces, and Catherine Fenter later. Also, he'll be Skyping to disability contacts in Uzbekistan and South Korea. Also, we'll be showing films from SoundLab, and also coming in from Sport England will be Liam Whiteman. And he'll be talking to people from Ellesmere College. And we'll be interviewing people from Voluntary Action Leicester as well, around the lunchtime mark. Also, he'll be Skyping Denmark. And he'll also be going on his worldwide map. He'll be going to Africa and Jamaica. And later on this evening, just after 5, we've got the Sidekick Dance Company, and they'll be doing a dance performance. And we've also got live music to take us to the end. And then tonight, as usual, at Elsil, they've got they have the Real Junk Food Project, 15 and 8:30, alongside there'll be live music. So, the main themes for the UN International Day for Disability Awareness is Inclusion Matters, Access and Empowerment for People of All Abilities, and we'll be talking about and promoting the social media cafe. And the sub-themes will be making cities inclusive and accessible for all, improving disability data, and John will no doubt be telling you about the 7 weeks at the High Cross shop, and we'll be talking to people, including myself earlier, with invisible disabilities in society, and we'll be touching on the Choice Unlimited roadshow. I'm going to hike over to Facebook in a minute. He says, going to go and get his phone. So it was split into. Oh, it's back! Yay! Yeah, oh my God! Well, you're coming back then to save me.
Setting things up.
Yeah.
Just setting things up.
That's right. The theme for the whole 24 hours was split into four categories. It was employability, volunteering and training, health and well-being, products and services, and get yourself active. And also, through the marketplace, you'll be able to pick up certain documents and leaflets. I might take you around the 24-hour newsroom. As I said, taking it up there. Take it there. There you go. Oh, pick it up. Come back for that in a minute. As I take you around the newsroom, as you can see, that's the 24-hour. That's the map that highlights all the Skype broadcasts. And we're moving right along. This is where all the magic's been made. I've been producing in this corner. And we've got all the clocks from around the world. Paris, New York, London. And all the information, what LSIL and people with disabilities have been up to, like the Special Olympics. We've got the map of the UK, obviously. We've got everything that's going on. We've got a corner here we haven't used yet, which will be conducting the interviews later in the day. And basically, we've got the board, all what's been going on, and also all the information for Choice Unlimited. The floor plan, what takes place once a year, which is at the, well, it's 5 times a year, but we have one in Leicester Tigers. They take over 2 floors, and there's the layout. And it's a lot of free workshops, things like a guide to employing people to support you, presented by Skills for Care, and accessing care support and your legal rights, and making most of social media, with John Costa, Just That Sid and I, and also the journey back to life about personal experiences, mental health. We were talking to someone last night who suffers with mental health, and he'll be singing later. I'll just take you around on the table we have the cameras. The school children will come in and they will participate in shooting film. So I've just loaded and powered all the cameras. At the minute, we're heading out to have a quick look. They're setting up the marketplace. Have a quick look outside. What's going on? There you go, Mr. Costa getting ready. It's all going on out here. There you go. And we are back. There you go. So. That's it. I just took them on a magical mystery tour.
Oh, lovely. Brilliant. Brilliant.
Oh, that's it. Just took them round, explaining all the maps, all the events that's happening, and the reasoning behind Choice Unlimited and all the. Because they do 5 a year actually. They do 1 in Leicester, they do Birmingham, Manchester, etc.
Yeah.
And they take over 2 floors at the City Tigers. The next one here is April 20th, 2016.
Yeah, yeah.
There you go. I should be there for that one actually. There you go. You can adjust it how you want it, young lady.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Well, I think it needs to point down just a wee bit.
Yeah, there you go. I'll go head back over there in a minute.
Well, no, you've got to sit there for a moment. Yeah, there's something I just thought of while I was
Back in a minute, I'm going to get the.
outside.
Not that, just get the flip over.
Yeah. Were you about to talk about any particular
No.
topic?
No.
Right. Okay. Well,
You carry on.
I have a particular interest in if we think about the topics in the news, yesterday, this morning, the UK government has voted in favour of bombing illness, but very often the family and the community is part of recovery in mental health. Post-traumatic stress disorder occurs when people have experienced trauma, and they later have flashbacks that become a disability because they remember these traumatic times. I can't explain what PTSD is because I don't have it. Fingers crossed I never will have it, but it's something that any of us could have. When we see a traumatic incident, I may well be the cause of somebody's post-traumatic stress disorder after them witnessing me have a seizure. As I have epilepsy, it can be a distressing time to witness somebody have a seizure, particularly a loved one or particularly somebody who you know but you never knew had the condition. And this is one of the reasons why we must discuss disability. We must discuss things like epilepsy so that people are aware. But going back to the topic of war and how people are disabled because of war, whether they are fighting for their country or whether they are caught in crossfire, friendly fire, or whether they are innocent civilians bombed by countries who are seeking to get rid of an opposition who choose to mingle with civilians in order to hide and evade attack. Now, do you have any views on the situation in the Middle East, on Syria?
I'm terrible. No, I don't.
You don't? Okay. How about you, Steve? Do you have any veterans here that come and use the centre?
We do, yeah, on a Friday.
Yeah, we do on Friday.
We have a small number of individuals who have seen combat somewhere in the world. I think at the moment they tend to be kind of, you know, the Iraq or Afghanistan areas, you know. But we're in the midst of doing a piece of work. Actually, we were commissioned by NHS England some time ago to do a piece of work to look at how veterans were or were not being supported to actually kind of refine themselves in society or integrate, you know, be integrated into society. And the question at the moment, which we've not answered because we've not completed the research, was looking at whether or not the charities that have been set up specifically to kind of deal with this situation are in any better position than organisations like ourselves to actually support people back into their own communities. And as I say, that's a piece of work that we're in the midst of at this moment in time. And
well, can I just break just one moment? So, if any of you out there have any points, any questions or any comments that you'd like to make, are you a veteran who has experienced combat and are trying to assimilate back into society with an impairment that has become a disability? Are you using a charity that's been set up specifically for veterans? Or are you using a local community facility that caters for anybody with an impairment that becomes a disability? If you would like to get in touch with us at Leicester CIL, the Leicester Centre for Integrated Living, you can use the hashtag LCIL24 or hashtag LCIL Global. Send us a comment. What are your views on who should provide support for veterans when they return from the field, and if you are a veteran yourself, where have you received support from, and what has been most useful, and who do you feel are best placed? And your comments may well be used in research that has been commissioned by NHS England for Leicester Centre for Integrated Living to contribute to. So if I can hand back over to Steve, and he can explain further what the project is all about.
Well, as I say, it's looking at the different mechanisms that are available out there to enable people back into society, and to see whether or not it's actually being as successful as everybody would hope. And at this moment in time, we've not done enough research to be able to kind of voice an outcome. But it was it came about because through conversation with NHS England some time ago, because there was, to be fair, within NHS England and ourselves, a recognition that there can sometimes be a perceived kind of feeling that there is almost like a hierarchy within disability. And what I mean by that is so if you're somebody who is born with a disability or acquires a disability early on in life, but you don't become a disabled person through war as a veteran, are you thought more higher of by society? And at the moment, we would absolutely say the answer to that, sadly, is yes. We know that the media quite often will portray disabled people as workless, as benefit cheats, all the issues that we see around the additional bedroom tax that's in people's lives, when it doesn't recognise that there may well be the need for a PA or a carer to reside in that address. So, and also at the moment the whole reassessment process that we're seeing, and the work capability assessments and everything that's taking place. When the reality is that if you are a disabled person and you carry that injury through a war, you're not going through that assessment process. And the terminology of being a veteran is you could have been in the armed forces for no more than an hour. You could be there for an hour, leave, then become disabled through some other mechanism, but the perception would be, and you'd be treated like a veteran.
Right.
And so there are all sorts of anomalies with all of that we're looking into at the moment. We know that many local authorities have signed up to what's known as a covenant, where individuals within local authorities have been tasked to ensure that actually when somebody does come along to them and makes the local authority aware that they are a veteran and that their disability is through being in the armed forces, that there are actually external funding streams available to those individuals to actually meet their assessed needs. Now, the knee-jerk reaction to that can be, hold on a minute, well, if that funding is available to those, why shouldn't it be available to others? And in an indirect way, actually, when you scrape at it a little bit, it is, because what it actually does is if a local authority then draws from that separate funding for that individual, it means that funding that it would normally draw from doesn't have to be drawn, and so that's still there, available and possibly ring-fenced for the next disabled person who comes along, and the local authority sees as eligible for support, and the money's there and it's not been spent. So, but what we have picked up on already in our short time that we've been doing this work is lots of authorities around the country have gone through the process of signing up to this covenant, but in reality, once that whole signing up event takes place, and all of that is finished, the kind of legacy to it all is they do very little, if anything at all, with it. And that's frustrating and annoying, because lots of people could actually benefit through that, either directly or indirectly. we know as well that there's an awful lot of money being collected by charities that have again been set up fundamentally to support veterans, and sometimes that has meant that people have only got a set amount of money that they can give to charity, and other charities that have been operational for many years for other great causes have been losing out because the money that they would have received and expected in the past has dried up because it's moved to another area, and again people are always aware of what the consequences of what their actions can actually be.
Could I ask? Does LSIL receive donations from charities to provide a service for veterans here?
No, we have been commissioned by NHS England to do the research, and out of that, obviously, we benefit financially. But fundamentally, that's to do the research work. It isn't actually to do the carry out any kind of what we would perceive as supportive activities for,
I'm just
for
thinking,
anybody.
yeah, if you have veterans here using the centre,
Yeah.
then surely you should be able to apply to some of these charities that are raising money for the veterans because you are providing a service for them.
Yeah, it'd be lovely if it worked that way, but it doesn't. We don't get anything like that from any organisation.
What are the charities doing then with the money that are being set up for the veterans?
They're working at supporting people directly.
So giving them a lump sum for them to do with what they like.
Yeah. And they're working with individuals at different levels directly. And as I say, at the moment we've just been asked to kind of look at that and see whether or not that money that's actually spent is actually good value. And we, as I say, at the moment we don't know. We just honestly don't know.
Do you? I mean, I'm surprised by that. I would have thought that these charities would be making a contribution to LSIL so that any veterans that you have come through the door, there is a pot of cash there for them because they've been harmed by the state and well, they've been harmed because of decisions by the state. Obviously, they've willingly given their bodies to fight for Queen and Country. So it has been their choice. They knew what the risks were. But there is still a sense that we should look after people. I'm surprised that they don't kind of. I'm surprised that they don't contribute. I was going to say something else, but it's gone out of my mind.
No, they don't. We don't receive any monies of that nature.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. People who've experienced trauma and disability very often become isolated, which then can lead to addiction. Now, if some of these veterans, if they've been consoled while overseas with a couple of bottles of beer, and they come over here and they're consoled by a couple of bottles of beer, a couple more, become alcoholic. Are the charities that are raising money specifically for veterans, are they seeking to know what is happening to the money? How are they getting feedback from the people that they give it to make sure that it isn't just being spent on the addiction?
Yeah. Without doubt.
That's reassuring.
There's a safety net around now. The way that money is actually handled to ensure that doesn't take place. Whether it's through war, whether it's through illness, whether it's a sporting injury, a road traffic accident, the sort of the main themes that kind of hit people initially is obviously there's a feeling of and it's not just a feeling, it's an experience of for the vast majority, not everybody, of isolation, because many will experience, not all again, but many will experience friends and loved ones around them, whatever the disability that they end up attracting, that those friends and loved ones they lose contact with. The other experience for many that come through our doors and other CILs around the country is debt. Debt's a real problem, and that's because obviously quite a lot of people find themselves out of work, made redundant, and you know, especially if they're at a time of their life where you know they're up to the hilt with mortgages, bank loans for cars, everything that sort of the traditional family aspires to hold down a job to feed their children and everything else. That's a real issue, and then just the sort of the feeling of loss of ability and having to do things in a very, very different way creates quite a different mindset, so this whole thing is kind of wrapped up in like tragedy. That's the and our role really is to, and why we think it's so important for people when they come through the door to actually at ELSIL meet with folks who sort of know their jobs and understand how to actually provide appropriate information and advice and guidance to where other areas of support or products may well be, but also that delivery is actually given in many occasions by fellow disabled people who have kind of walked that line sometime earlier in their own lives, and because we know as disabled people it's very, very rare to actually find that level of or that degree of peer support that you actually get from a SIL. And when they are members of staff who again are very skilled but are not disabled members of staff, that they are real allies, and they've become allies within all of this, again through exposure and training and understanding of their colleagues who are disabled, who they work alongside with. And when we take feedback from our database of members, customers, etc., the vast majority will tell us that it's a very, very different, positive experience to come, and that's why we felt it was important to do this work as well with NHS England around the veterans, because we don't think that the bit that is, well, we know the bit that is missing in a lot of the charities that do support specifically veterans returning is not always fellow veterans that have kind of walked the line earlier. It's coming, it's starting to be recognised, and we are starting to see a growth. But and again, if it's done that way and it's delivered that way, and it's something that they've learned from ourselves, and that learning has helped them create a better delivery of their own product, then fine. That's absolutely fine and dandy.
Yeah. Do you get?
We take a break. So we need to set up for a start call at 9.
Yes, indeed. Right. Okay.
We'll come back to
So thanks again for Steve Cooper, who are you the CEO here?
I am, yeah, unfortunately.
He's the Chief Executive Officer of Leicester Centre for Integrated Living, has graced us with his presence this evening.
This morning.
And,
You've been here 24
well,
hours.
last night and all day
We're all
today.
getting tired.
How many CEOs do you know who are up for 24 hours doing their job? Hey? Right, keep your eye out, big corporations, you know. Right, okay, Leicester Centre for Integrated Living doing a 24-hour broadcast for the United Nations International Day of Persons with Disability. Check it out. Hashtag LSIL24, hashtag LSIL Global, Twitter tag at Leicester CIL. Thank you very much. I've been Emma Friedman. I am Emma Friedman still. You can find me on Twitter. I think I really need to go home and get some sleep because I'm not hardcore like these guys. I need to sleep. I need to have my medication. I need to have my medication for my epilepsy, and I need to get to my bed before I go and have seizures and stuff like that. So it's been a pleasure to be with you. Thanks all. Bye.
Where's he put it?
You have a thing when people come through the door. Oh. It's a good question. I have to be very, very kind of rough now about the day after.
In a minute.
The answer is no, absolutely not. And there's no intention of funding us. They see us as a real threat. Don't like us. They don't want to hand over